Alright, this training video is going to cover how to assign a route in routeman using dispatch. So you'll begin by clicking on the dispatch option up here at the top, and it will pop open this window. Your dispatch may look different. It can be configured a bunch of different ways. If you would like to learn how to customize it, there's another video called customizing your screen options in dispatch. And what you'll do is you'll choose the truck that you're going to work with. In this case, we're going to use truck number 7 or device number 7. And we're going to assign an entire route. Now, if you're using hotshots and single orders, you'll see orders listed here in the queue. But in this case, we're going to assign a route straight to a device. So we'll come here to open and come down to assign a route. And we will select from this drop down. I'm going to choose the Bessemer route today. Alright, when you pull this screen up, I'm going to expand it a little bit to be able to view a little bit better. But you have the option to select which day, and it defaults to today, but you can go in here and click any day in the future. So if you'd like to assign your routes ahead of time, you can assign all your routes for tomorrow, or if you're going on vacation, want to assign a whole week's worth of routes, you can go through day by day and assign different routes to different devices, and those orders will only show up on the device on that day. Okay, and the stops are listed here. The customers are listed in the route order. There's a bunch of different information on this grid. So as you look at some of these, you see that they're not checked off in this first column. Well, what that means, this customer right here, Bayou Magazine, is an active customer, but they're not active to the route. And so that order will not be placed on this device at this time. If I wanted to include it today for some reason, let's say I looked and, well, they haven't gotten an order since September, or we haven't created an invoice for that customer since September, so I'm going to send the driver to that customer this particular time. I can manually choose to select or deselect any of these when I want to. The sequence number here just lists having to do with the routing order, so the optimized order or the saved order that you have the route in routeman, that's what the sequence number represents. This column here, active, has to do with whether the customer is active to the route right now. They can still be listed on the route, but you can turn them off. Let's say during the winter months, they don't need to be on the route as often as usual. Then in these columns, you have information about the last invoice. So if you wanted to pull up the last invoice, here's the number, but here's the date and the total. And then it gives you a breakdown of at least some of the information as far as the quantities that were taken. And so this is very handy when you're assigning a route. You can look and see, we haven't made an invoice for this customer since last September. Maybe I need to send the driver over there this time. And I just click use, and now it will include them just for this day that I'm assigning. In other situations, you may say, well, I just went there yesterday and it was a $0 invoice. So obviously they didn't even need any ice yesterday or need any kind of delivery yesterday, so I won't include them in that case. So as a manager, you can override what's going to generate in the route that you're assigning. And then this last column just has whether the customer is active overall at this point. Now looking at step number 2, this has to do with the orders that we're creating. Okay, so the easiest way to understand it is if I choose empty orders, it's simply sending a list of all these customers that are checked off in the use column to the device. So the driver just knows that he needs to go to each of these stores. It's not giving him any information. If I choose par level orders, then I am sending the list of the stores with the par level products that are listed for that customer in routeman. So if we were to visit these individual customers in routeman, the question is, do I have par levels already set up for these customers? If I do, then the driver is going to be able to pull up the invoice and already have those products basically pre-selected in the invoice, and they're just going to put in the new quantities. It will just list, for example, 10-pound ice, and it'll have a 0 quantity, and if they're dropping off ice that's 10 pounds, they will put in the quantity amount. As they move through the invoice, they'll put in those quantities. If you have par level quantity amounts, we'll shrink this down for a moment. I can't do that. I have to actually close it. We'll come back to that. Okay, so let's say this is Walmart 2133. If I go into par levels, you can see I have 3 par level products. So if I send those orders as par level orders, right now it will not count a quantity. It will just include those products on the invoice, okay, because I have 0. But if I were to come in here and say, well, typically this Walmart, the par level, I'm going to put 50 pounds or 50 units of 20 pound as a par level. If I put in the standard amount that's delivered, then that's going to come into play when I look at the inventory that the truck has and what I'm committed to deliver. And you'll see that in a moment when we do. Oh, I forgot. I have to reopen this because I had to completely close it. We'll choose Bessemer again. Okay. So if I do the par level orders, if there are quantities, it will tally up those quantities for all the different customers that I've put those quantities in and give an estimate based on those quantities. The third option is to use the invoice average summary orders. So just like right here, we can look back and see the last invoice, when it was, what the total was, and the quantities that were included. If I use this option, I can control and say, okay, I want to go back 60 days as a standard. Okay, but depending on how long you've got a history with those customers, how long you've been running this route, how long you've had routeman, or even depending on seasonality, you may want to choose a different amount for it to go back and look at the history over that time frame. So if you've only had routeman for 30 days, it does no good to try and look back 60 days. But in general, you're going to want to consider this number when you change seasons. So when you come out of busy season and you're slowing down in the fall, well, it doesn't help for the computer to be averaging in all those big tickets from busy season. And so we can adjust those. Then steps 3 through 5 get a little bit complicated, but basically you're deciding what needs to happen with orders that are already created in your dispatch if these customers are involved in those orders. And so if you would like a more in-depth look at this, I'm going to create another video that's called Assigning Routes Through Dispatch, the advanced version. And we'll go through the different examples so you can see what they're each offering as different selections. But has to do with not creating conflicts when you're assigning all these different orders to different devices. It can get a little bit confusing, but typically with these, once your company understands, once your dispatcher or manager understands the options, you'll choose particular options that make sense for you and how you run your business, and then they'll pretty much be the way you always put your orders in. But at this point, I'm ready, so we're going to click submit, and we get this message just saying, are you sure this is what you want to do? It lists the date again. You sure you want to create all these orders, and you want to use 60 days invoice history, and I'm going to choose yes. We get this route assignment list. If you wanted to print that off for some reason, you're certainly welcome to, but in most cases you'll just choose close. If you'd like a nicer, kind of prettier list, you can come in here once you've already assigned the orders, and you can print a delivery schedule report. And let me adjust that, and you can see that's a whole lot nicer list to work with if you wanted to use that. Okay, at this point my orders are sent to the device. The icons are black because my device has not confirmed, the driver has not logged in to confirm that they've seen the orders. But I wanted to mention right here that this device is showing that there are negative quantities available on this truck. Well, the truth is there is no truck selected because no one's logged in and chosen which truck that they're on. So the truck has 0. This is what's committed. So it's saying, to run this route, you're really going to need, looking back at the history of these particular customers over the last 60 days, this is what you're committing your driver to be able to deliver. Now, of course, this is not bulletproof, set in stone. This is just using averages over the last 60 days of the invoices that you've made. So I'm going to pause for just a moment and log into my device. Alright, so now I have logged into my device and confirmed the orders. You can see that the icons changed to blue, so the dispatcher, the manager, can tell that the driver has gotten the orders. And you see my name listed right there, and then Ethan's truck. And then on the truck, you can see that the quantities have changed to, this is how much ice I have on my truck right now, listed by product type here. Well, based on the history of running this route, I have enough large, I have enough medium, but when it comes down to this one, I need more. So I don't have enough small bags to be able to expect to not run out. So in this case, I would be able to look at it and say, you know what, I need to trade. If I don't have any more room on my truck, maybe I need to trade a pallet of large or a pallet of medium for an extra pallet of smalls, so that I can leave the warehouse with a high expectation of not running out. And so at that point, the driver can see, if you're using inventory, when they log in, the first screen that they see when they log into Route Mobile is the inventory screen. And they're able to see what they're committed to deliver based on the information that's given when the orders are created in routeman. And really, it's as simple as that. We've assigned this Bessemer route to device number 7 and created all these orders, and when the driver goes out, it's going to be listed in this order. That's about it.